viral brownie cookies are the quick and easy version of a brownie that you can have on the go. They have all the same elements as a brownie, a fudgy interior with a gorgeous crackly top, but they're so much easier to make and also a whole lot more fun. So on that note, today I'm going to show you how to make them. If you didn't already know, I'm Sophia, the owner of Soph's Goodies, and welcome back to my cozy kitchen. So the first thing we need to do is whisk our sugar and eggs together. We have got 3 eggs today and 250 grams of caster sugar. Using an electric hand mixer or a stand mixer, we're going to mix them together until you see the mixture go light and fluffy. Once it gets to that point, stop mixing because we don't want to over mix. You'll see lots of little bubbles in the top, and that's how you know when to stop. And you may be wondering, why do we actually need to whisk our sugar and eggs together? It's a really important part of the process because whisking them together is what's going to give us that really lovely crackly top that we're looking for with these cookies. So after about 3 to 4 minutes, you're going to be left with this really nice thick mixture. And like I said, you'll notice it really pale in color, and that's how you'll know it's done. It will go from yellow to almost off-white. So once we've got it to our lovely thick and fluffy consistency, we're going to go in and add 1 tablespoon of a neutral oil. I've opted for sunflower oil, but you can use vegetable oil, canola oil, anything like that hasn't got a strong flavor. I wouldn't recommend using something like olive oil because it's got much more of a stronger taste, and that can obviously affect the flavor of our brownie cookies. So we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of that and then set the bowl aside briefly. Next up, we're going to take a microwavable bowl, and then into this bowl we're going to be adding 65 grams of unsalted butter. You can use salted butter if you don't have any unsalted butter, but it is best to use unsalted just because we don't want to add too much salt into this actual batter, as we're going to be sprinkling them with sea salt at the end. So once we've got our butter in the bowl, we're going to be adding in 200 grams of milk chocolate. You can use dark chocolate if you prefer a much richer and obviously stronger flavor, but for me, I love milk chocolate. It's like a perfect middle ground, so I'm going for that today. And like I said, we're going to be breaking that up into small pieces and adding that into our bowl. Then what we do next is actually microwave our mixture for 15 seconds at a time, stirring between each burst so it doesn't burn, until we have a gorgeous chocolatey, silky smooth liquid. If you don't have a microwave or you prefer to do it in another method, you can actually do this using the bain-marie method, which is done by getting a small saucepan, adding in a small bit of water and letting that gently simmer while adding your bowl on top of that and letting the steam melt the ingredients in your bowl. It does take a little bit longer, but like I said, it's good if you haven't got a microwave or if you don't fancy using it. And you may also be wondering, why do we need to melt chocolate into our mixture? And again, that's a really important component of these brownie cookies. What the melted chocolate does is helps create that really fudgy texture that we're looking for, and also helps them set in the middle so that they're not like basically molten ooey gooey lava sort of like flowing out. They keep the cookies set while also keeping that lovely moist texture in the middle. So it's a really important part that can't really be skipped. We're now going to be left with this gorgeous melted chocolate mixture. You can hear like a weird noise in the background. It's my dog just roaming around. We're going to retrieve our bowl of sugar and eggs and then pour our melted chocolate mixture into the big bowl with the egg and sugar, and then gently fold that through. Not all the way, just a little bit, so we get like a really nice marble pattern. We don't want to over mix at this stage and deflate the batter, as that will also affect the texture of our cookies. So fold in a figure of 8 until you get a really nice marble pattern and then stop. So next up is adding the dry ingredients, and brownies notoriously don't have too many dry ingredients in them, and also not too much of the dry ingredients, and that's because the more dry ingredients we add to a brownie, the cakier they're going to be, and obviously we don't really want cakey cookies. We have got 115 grams of plain flour and 25 grams of cocoa powder in this bowl, but we do need a little bit more of the dry ingredients compared to an actual brownie, just because we don't want these cookies to spread into one giant cookie. A little bit more dry ingredients means that they're going to hold their shape nicely. We're going to take a small or large sieve. I just have this small one. We're actually going to sieve our dry ingredients into the bowl, making sure there's no lumps, because the last thing that we want when we're biting into one of these cookies is to get a really big pocket of like cocoa powder. It's happened to me before and it's disgusting. So we're going to sift those in, followed by 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And then once all the dry ingredients are in the bowl, we're going to gently fold them together with a spatula until we've got a silky smooth, gorgeous chocolatey mixture. And then once we've achieved a gorgeous silky smooth batter, we're going to go in with 100 grams of chocolate chips. Again, I've gone for milk chocolate chips, but you could do white chocolate chips, dark chocolate chips, anything that you prefer, you can add into this batter. And then we're going to stir those through until everything's been evenly distributed. Once we've got our lovely batter, we're actually going to put it in the fridge for about 5 minutes, which helps it firm up before we then bake. We're going to be baking these at 180 degrees C for a fan oven, so that would be 200 for a convection oven. So we want to make sure that's been preheated before we start baking. So once our batter's chilled, it's going to be looking nice and thick, and that's going to help it hold its shape. It doesn't need to chill for too long, just enough time to help it set when baking. We're going to be lining 2 baking trays with baking paper and then scooping on with a cookie scoop, or you can use a large spoon if you haven't got a cookie scoop. We're going to be doing 4 dollops of batter per tray. We don't want too many per tray in case they spread and then become one massive cookie. we just keep going until we've used up all the batter. So bake 4, let them cool, add them onto a cooling rack, and then if there's any more batter, just keep adding it onto the trays. We're going to be baking these brownie cookies for about 10 to 12 minutes. I would always look in the oven at around 8 minutes, just because every oven bakes at different temperatures. Some run a lot hotter than others and some can run cooler, so they may need a little bit longer. We don't want them to be over baked, so if possible, try not to bake them for longer than 12 minutes. And we also don't want them to look entirely dry, otherwise they're going to be overcooked and obviously cakey. We want them to still look fudgy, as we also need to factor in that cookies continue to bake once they're out the oven. So I'll come back once mine are baked to show you what they look like. And so that is how to make super fudgy bakery style brownie cookies. They're so satisfying to look at. Those like crackly tops are absolute perfection. Every bite is so delicious and fudgy. They couldn't be any better if we tried. And the best part is they're just so easy to make. Like, who doesn't love an easy under 1 hour bake? They're just absolutely great. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me to learn how to make these today. If you did enjoy this video, then please don't forget to hit the like button. Also let me know in the comments what else you would like me to bake. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next week for a new video.